We had a youth group Lockin and decided to play a game that was similar to Capture the Flag. Keep in mind, this was being played inside and outside our church at 2 a.m. The neighbors didn't know this and thought we were literally breaking into the church because we were running around in the dark with all the lights off in the building. So they called the cops. I kid you not, the whole PD shift come racing to the church with full lights and sirens. Welcome back to Youth Group Chronicles, everybody. In the studio with me today, I have Buddy Jenkins. Welcome back to the show.
What's good, y'all?
This is episode 2 for Buddy.
Yes, sir.
And Pastor Cole is an OG Season 1 veteran.
Season 1, baby.
I think you were like the second person I ever had on the show.
Dang, I'm
It
honored.
was Isaiah and then Pastor Cole, which is pretty cool. So welcome back, guys.
I'm here with a legend.
A Youth Group Chronicles legend at this point. We are live on Instagram as well, so what's up, everybody there? We are going to dive right into some email submissions. So basically, if this is your first time listening in or tuning into the show, we are reading true stories about youth group. And these are the most out-of-pocket, crazy, wild, and hilarious things that the internet could provide. So this is a story from Jose. Jose said, one of our students was standing in line for lunch at summer camp when a girl tried to cut in front of him. The kid in front of our student, who didn't know him and was from a completely different city, saw what happened and called the girl out for cutting. They said, hey, you can't cut him. He's special needs.
Ooh.
But our boy was not special needs at all. Mind you, he maybe looks a little funny, but not enough to be confused for special needs. The girl who tried to cut him proceeded to apologize a bunch of times, saying that she had no idea. Our student didn't even bother to correct her and just used it to his advantage to cut the line.
Wow.
Oh, my man said I'm going straight to the front. I'm special.
He said, I'm getting it one way or another. One way or another.
Maybe he thought he was really just special, not special needs. He's like,
Hey.
I'm special enough for the front.
They did say I was special.
You're just rolling with it at
He
this
said,
point.
I'm special? Dang, that girl called me special? Okay.
That's fire. No, it's not.
What'd you say?
I was like, that's fire. And I was like, no, it's not actually.
That's one thing you just don't want to go with.
Yeah, no. Please
This
don't.
is a story from Andrew. Andrew said, one year at winter camp, our youth group was playing a game called No Matter What, Don't Stop Singing. Basically teams would send one representative to the stage, and the youth leaders would do anything they could do to get the student to stop singing. When we first started playing this game, it was innocent things like writing on their face, putting makeup on them, but it slowly increased to something much more. We upped our game to shock therapy devices, forcing the students to hold on to it until eventually they would stop singing because of the pain. Unfortunately, even a shocking device wasn't really enough, and it seemed like we weren't impressing the youth in the crowd. One of the youth leaders somehow got a hold of a wild animal facility, and they brought tarantulas, snakes, scorpions, and roaches.
Bro.
They would place them on the students, trying to get them to stop singing. Still, the youth would not stop singing. At this point, we decided to mix up the game and have the leaders give it a try. Out of nowhere, the animal guy pulls out a baby alligator. To up the intensity of the game, the guy took the tape off the mouth of this alligator as well. And I guess one of our leaders wanted to show off how fearless he was and reached out to pet the alligator. And the alligator then proceeded to bite his finger. And the leader screamed out in pain. He ripped his hand out, and blood was pouring out of his hand like it was a bucket of paint being poured out. The alligator nearly bit his finger completely off in front of the entire youth group.
Bro.
Oh, see, people be trying to act cool.
They turned this into Fear Factor,
Yo,
bro.
that's what I was about to say. They turned this a Fear Factor real quick.
Uh-huh.
Dang,
Nah,
bro.
that's wicked.
There's
That's crazy.
a few different ways to get kids at your youth group.
Fear Factor.
Fear
Factor to the
Real
next
life
level.
Fear Factor is one of them. Got a live studio audience on the leaders.
See, last thing I'm doing is sticking my hand towards the mouth of the alligator.
I could understand if there was tape. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like,
Did my dude get fired though? taking the tape off. That's crazy.
I don't know. I feel like that's a liability issue.
Yeah,
I feel like
for
that's
real.
a
Like,
whole,
you
this
know,
is a-
bro. Like,
some
this
back
is your
alley black
business.
market stuff.
He must have been like his bro.
Yeah.
He's a guy. He's like, oh yeah, I work at a wildlife. He's like, I got you, bro. I got an alligator right now. My man caught it in the bayou that day.
They're like, wait, I thought you guys said this guy works at it. No, I said he owns at a wildlife animals. This guy just has a whole bunch of like exotic
caught
animals
them
in his house.
in the Everglades.
He pulled up
Brought
with the
him
whole
home.
fit, like the Steve Irwin fit. He
He's
was
like,
like,
yeah. So how long have you worked at the animal? No, I don't work there. I
That's
work
what
at Wendy's.
I work at Wendy's. That's what the dude thought. He was like, I'm gonna poke it with a stick.
This is, or he probably like, oh, this is the fake stuff. This is these animals are like tranquilized, whatever. No,
Someone said, you know, the kid with the camel hat is cheering at this point.
oh,
No
for
facts.
facts.
And the hook on the hat.
Don't bring animals to youth group. Nothing good happens.
Nothing.
This is Instagram Live, by the way, guys. Reading some comments here. So when I was a kid, my brother Ben, for whatever reason, collected snakes, like live snakes.
Sounds like him.
And just he was really into reptiles. And he had a bunch of them, but he had a like a corn snake. So it's probably like 4 feet long, probably the diameter, probably like inch diameter. And it escaped, and I didn't know it. And I was in our basement using the bathroom, sitting down, going number 2. And I look at my feet, and this snake is coiled around the bottom of the toilet. And I mean, I would say I almost crapped myself.
But you are.
More came out.
Yeah. I jumped out of my skin. We'll just say that.
Bro, I would have been
Because
so scared,
I
man.
was not expecting, I didn't know it was loose. And I just felt it brush my leg, and I looked down and it's curled around the toilet. Yeah, one of the scariest moments of my and I'm not normally scared of snakes, but that moment, I don't know what it was. I guess I just didn't expect it. But
Yeah, it caught you off guard. I mean, I don't like. Never mind.
you don't like snakes?
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not gonna make a joke.
Buddy almost got edited out of the
Yeah, I
show.
almost got edited out, yo.
Hannah said, ex-zookeeper here. This is too good. Hannah, would you take the tape off the mouth of the alligator asking for a friend? Because
Yes, please put us
I
on.
feel like if it was a real zoo or a real like animal tamer or whatever they call it, they probably shouldn't have done that.
Nah.
Right. No professionals anywhere near close.
Is this really happening at youth groups? Are they just throwing youth group in front of it
Well,
at this
here's the-
point?
here's the
So this
question.
one I think was like a winter camp.
Okay.
So it was like a
Okay.
game with a bunch of youth groups. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure is what
I'm
that
I'm
was.
like, what do you do after? Like, what do you do after that? Like,
Right.
youth group shut down for a couple at least a couple weeks. What do you
Well,
do
some
after
people
that?
will say they're just like, yeah, and then we had to carry on with youth group after. X.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like they have to put that in there about how that, makes it even worse, which is
Yeah.
true.
And then I preached on when Jesus said, if you need to cut off your hand.
What did we learn here today?
If you're listening to this and you have stories, guys, email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. You will have a chance of being featured on the show. So Trevor said, one of my most embarrassing moments in youth ministry was when I decided to go to a high school girls track meet to cheer on some of the youth. The only problem was that none of these girls went to my youth group. Now, in my defense, I first met them at a coffee shop when on impulse, I decided to share the gospel with them. A couple weeks later, I heard they were having a track meet, so I went to cheer them on, and my now wife and girlfriend at the time was going to go with me, but she ended up having to study last minute for a test that afternoon. So I went by myself. So there I was, waving hi to some of the youth I recognized, when all of a sudden I was approached by one of the girls' parents. He started drilling me with questions about how old I was, why I was there, etc. To them, I was some 23-year-old creeper with a hidden agenda. To make matters worse, the parent was a cop.
Oh,
And to add to it all, I had forgotten my license back at home.
dang.
This cop literally filed a police report and then called my pastor to verify information to complete his investigation.
Wow. See,
That's a
bruh?
big L. That is a
bruh.
giant L.
That's how you just don't go do stuff like that.
Yeah.
My man said, I
If you
pulled
are
up.
listening to this right now, take notes on that
Yeah,
one.
take notes on that one. If you ever think
Character.
maybe I should go to
Rookie
this
mistake.
all
Yes, you're
girls track meet by myself, and I am a plus 18-year-old adult, and I'm gonna go there, and I'm not even gonna sit and watch. I'm gonna be like, hey, it's me.
I'm gonna show my support.
I'm here.
The gospel, big W. The pulling up alone, big
L.
L.
Big L. Big
You were
L.
doing so good.
You almost
You were doing
got-
so
you
Soiled
almost
it.
did it. Soiled it.
Soiled it.
I pulled it.
Micah on Instagram Live said, dude, I just would have went home. No wife, no go. That is a wise rule to live by.
Yes.
Yeah. Take notes. That's one thing I've learned about this show is it is a funny show through and through. But at the end of the day, I think there's a learning lesson behind most of these episodes that you can take away. And that one takes the cake for right now.
Yes.
Dang, man.
Have good characters. Have good character.
Cop
and
is
you
like
won't end up on Youth Group Chronicles.
That is true. You do not want to end up on the show.
Yes.
That really should be your ultimate goal in youth ministry is not to make it here. This is a story from John. John said, this is my craziest youth ministry story. One summer night, our youth pastor introduced a boys versus girls bake-off. We loaded everyone up into two church vans, drove to the nearest grocery store, and we were given 10 minutes to pick up the ingredients that we needed. Somewhere along the 5-minute drive to the store, though, a few of us came up with the idea of baking some laxatives into our brownies.
Dude.
We successfully grabbed everything we need to make the brownies, and we also happened to grab said laxatives. Thankfully, the cashier kept her mouth shut, even as our youth pastor came over and paid for all the stuff. We proceeded to go back to the church and bake these brownies that were just completely laced at this point. Way too much laxative. It was time to present our desserts to the judges, and to our shock, we actually won. This made it even funnier, knowing that they had a rough night ahead. Apparently, after youth group, one of the more sensitive kids in the group decided to go tell the youth pastor what we had done, taking with him the bottle of laxatives. Our youth pastor was furious, especially considering that his wife was one of the judges.
Ooh. Bro, what is it with baking and the laxatives? Like, this is big L's.
Bro, what's good with the laxatives?
I thought they were going to say weed. So honestly, I've been setting my expectations.
I would be more concerned if they got that from the grocery store.
Right, but I'm setting
you never know. There might be a sticker shop in there.
Yeah, here in Elmira, that'd be pretty easy.
One of them you kids could have had it on them, get a little sprinkle.
I'm actually shocked they won the competition, though. I would imagine that would ruin the taste, but somehow
added that little punch.
Ironic.
Maybe that's the secret ingredient, laxatives.
We should try it.
I seen actually on TikTok a guy was like, I never tried laxatives before, so I'm just gonna try it. And he had like this mat, you know, those like really big water bottles.
Yeah.
He had like poured like the whole thing in there and like chugged it all. And then he did like he was
did
like,
he come back like 24 hours later on live or something?
You guys, like when I'll do it. And then it was like the next day, and he was like, yeah, like he was like obviously on the toilet. He's like, yeah, so I drunk it last night, and you know I didn't feel nothing. And he was like, so I went to bed.
Yeah.
And he was like, I woke up, and he was like, I almost like, you know, boo-booed on myself. And he was like, I've been on the toilet all day. I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know what you really expect. Like,
laxatives are crazy, bro.
I don't know. I've never had them.
I've never tried them either. I don't want to. I'm good.
Whatever it says, I believe it.
No, my dad.
I'll take your word for it.
One day, my stomach hurt, and my parents thought it was because I wasn't pooping. So they gave me some, and I learned real quick my stomach didn't hurt because I wasn't pooping. And I was blowing the toilet up, and we were like on the road. Laxatives don't play.
They
don't mess
you
around.
on a road trip?
Well, yeah, because
That's
we were
brave.
like 30 minutes, 40 minutes from here. And I was
okay.
just like down bad. I was laying down on my side. But
So
laxatives, they're potent, bro. Like just
I'll steer clear then.
Like
I'm good.
that dude's the bottle. It's crazy.
This is a story from Colton. He said, my most embarrassing youth ministry moment from youth group happened at camp. One night we were eating Sloppy Joes for dinner, and we all went back to the cabin for lights out. Around 11 p.m., I had to pee so bad, but someone was in the bathroom. So I waited, and finally a friend from my youth group came out of the bathroom and went to bed. I went in, lifted the seat, and found out that this kid did not flush, and there was the biggest pile of poop I'd ever seen in the toilet still. I had to go so bad, I just peed on top of it because I had to go extremely bad. But unfortunately, when I flushed, the toilet clogged up and someone else had to go in behind me. So I walked out, got back into bed. 30 minutes later, a camp counselor woke me up and told me I had to go unclog it. But it wouldn't go down. And every time I plunged the poop, it was splashing all over my clothes.
No.
Soon, everyone in the boys' cabin was standing at the door of the bathroom laughing at me. It smelled so bad, and it was the most embarrassing night in youth ministry for me.
Dang. The kid who laid that
It
log
was not
laughing.
even his.
Yep.
That's even worse.
See, that's why you just, bro. If I go into a bathroom and I see there's a dookie in there and I can't flush it, bro, I'm not going to the bathroom. Like, that's what you get for peeing on the poop.
My man
Poor
literally,
guy had to go so bad.
Yeah.
my man literally, like caught like because think about it, the kid who did the boo boo, he knew.
He escaped.
Yeah, he knew. He's
And
sitting
he
there
knew
like,
he must have known it was his
He-
that
yeah.
whole time.
Yeah,
He's laughing. He's the kid
who's
laughing.
They're
He
like, yo,
laughing.
they don't even know I took a whole boo boo in there. They
He's
don't
like,
even know.
yeah, bro, plunge the toilet, bro.
Bro, that's ooh.
No, thank you.
That was some soup.
Some soup.
No.
Some toilet soup.
This is a story from Ben. Ben said, one of my craziest youth ministry stories involves two students coming to the church for the first time. I didn't know them, so I had to fill out a guest card when they came and made their way into the student room. When their motive for coming was revealed, they were looking for another student of a rival gang who attended on Wednesdays,
Oh, shoot.
and they settled for his friend that was there that night. They started fighting and kicked one of the new guys in the chest and tossed another guy through a nearby exit that locks from the outside, breaking up the fight. All parties fled, gave their guest card to a cop. Turns out the student I kicked out had a gun on him and came prepared to settle a score. So I literally saved a kid's life. Double plot twist. A few months later, the kid I saved, who was involved in drugs, ended up in prison for murder.
Dang.
Yep.
See, listen, here's the reality. When you're trying to reach people of that type of demographic, that's the reality of what you'll encounter.
Literally.
That's true.
And sometimes, like, dang, this is taking mad deep.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, when you observe these situations, you're like, dang, it shouldn't be happening at church. And then in reality, you're like, and what do you do to prevent it?
Yeah.
And then, like, do you ostracize a whole group of people because they are involved in that? And it's like, tough.
It is tough. Yeah, that is a whole thing. Yeah, like Cole said, especially when you're looking to reach that demographic of students, it's like a whole other ball game because now it's like that is a very much real reality.
Yeah.
And then most times they're the most receptive.
Oh, which is also
Yeah,
crazy.
because they're like down bad. So they're like, yeah, I need God.
Yeah, I know I need God.
I
know I need God. It's just crazy, but that's true.
Yeah, all the preppy kids, all the church kids, they're like, I want to explore. I want to explore my options. These kids are coming in. They're 12. They done seen everything, raised their families.
Literally, yeah,
Literally.
it-
Literally.
for sure.
They're like, got their 3 siblings are low key their sons and daughters. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is sad. I have seen that, but that is sad.
Yeah, it is.
This is a story from Andrew. If you guys are listening to this, ygchronicles@gmail.com is where you can send in stories. Andrew said, we did a McNugget challenge to see how fast our youth group students could eat 10 nuggets. We thought the kid that won was about to throw up, but after about 15 seconds of him looking like he was gagging, we realized he was choking, and his little brother literally had to do the Heimlich to dislodge the nugget.
Dang. All the food ones, it's never the leaders doing it.
Yeah,
The kids are
That
always
is
first.
true. It
The
is
kids
always-
are always first.
Yeah, why is it that never?
The leaders are like,
leaders.
you good? And the kids are like, he's choking.
Hey, are you good? He's
good,
choking.
bud?
He's choking. He's choking.
Leader
There's the
panic.
kids coming to the rescue. What do we do?
He's like, man,
You're the leader. I don't know.
I signed up to preach the gospel, and now I gotta save
And now I
kids'
gotta
lives.
save-
Dude, I'm learning. If you cut out games from your youth group, you will
That actually
alleviate
is a
like
fact.
90% of all tragic stories. Think about every story. Only one of them has been like a non-game induced accident.
Games and camp.
Games and camp.
Braylon said, let's transition to a time of worship.
All right, guys.
All right.
They
Yep.
drag him off. They just choking in the back.
Nah, that's
Worship
what I'm
time.
preaching. I'm going right up, and I'm gonna be like, "You'll never know when you breathe your last breath.
Yeah, that's me. Yo, yeah.
Today could be your day."
You just segue to, we see
We're doing
little
altar
Timmy
call right now.
Facts.
died right here on the stage.
Little Timmy, he
He
didn't.
did. You think he woke up this morning and think he would have died by choking on a McNugget? No.
Nope.
You could make the decision today.
Could
Who
be-
knows?
It could be a car accident. It could be laxatives.
be a
It could be a
McNugget.
McNugget.
Katie said, we had a youth group Lockin and decided to play a game that was similar to Capture the Flag around the church. Keep in mind, this was being played inside and outside our church at 2 a.m.
Oh, boy.
Church
Well,
at 2 a.m.
The neighbors didn't know this and thought we were literally breaking into the church because we were running around in the dark with all the lights off in the building. So they called the cops. I kid you not, the whole PD shift, which was 3 units, the county sheriff, and a state police car come racing to the church with full lights and sirens. While some of my students were taking selfies in front of the cop cars, I was outside explaining that I was the youth pastor and it was just a game for a lock-in and not a burglary or vandalism. The first officer got on his radio with a rather disappointed sounding voice and said, "Stand down, it's just the youth group." I still wonder how many more units were heading our direction.
Bro, that cop, he thought it was the day. He said, "Listen, all I've been having calls was for
Speeding tickets.
and odd even parking. Today's the moment."
He's like,
Today's the moment.
he said, God, I got you. Not the
God's
Lord's house.
This is the day.
Not the Lord's house.
I'm gonna go down in
not my
history.
city.
Not my town.
Not my town.
They're gonna make a movie about this.
He was- now that changes how I said it. It was disappointment.
Yeah, he
it was
said,
like, dang, stand
"Stand
down,
down, gentlemen."
Just the youth
Yeah,
group.
the SWAT team around the corner. Special forces.
I think she mentioned it was a small town too. All I picture is the town I grew up in,
Yeah.
where there was like probably 3 cops and like no action
Like one
besides maybe a couple
stoplight.
of meth heads like
Like-
breaking into
Right,
houses.
One stoplight, and
Like,
it's
no,
the
this is
flickering
the
one.
one.
It's not
Yeah,
even.
facts.
It's the blinking one.
Quite, yeah.
Not even a real one. That's crazy.
This is from Meg. Meg said, "My most embarrassing youth ministry story was when I hosted a girls' night out for middle and high school girls. I purchased tickets to a fancy dinner theater downtown, which, mind you, was advertised as family friendly. But unbeknownst to me, the show that I brought my youth group girls to featured a stripper cop, a blow-up doll, and a bunch of other obscene scenes."
What?
Can't do that.
Ooh, how did you get that far? How'd you find out all 3? Was it did they all happen at once, or you was like, wait, maybe it gets wholesome?
Let's hear it out.
Yeah, was there like packages or something?
Was
You
it
accidentally picked the? How do you not know that before you show up?
Well, she said it was family friendly. I mean, if someone said family friendly, I would have gone.
It's true.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
did
after
you,
like
yeah.
a stripper cop, I would have probably,
Yeah, I
Was
would've
it
been like-
progressive?
the youth,
worse?
the
Was it
youth
like-
leader antennas would have, went up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I would have been like, I don't know about this one. I don't know how this one.
What was it for you? The blow up doll or the stripper
Yeah,
cop?
did she say the strip club? I mean, that's not really that bad.
someone
blow up doll?
someone
Blow
on
up.
Instagram Live said Google is free. That is true. We also have a T-shirt that has that on it.
We
Quick
gotta-
plug, ygcpodcast.com if you want to go grab one of those.
Get your merch.
Hey.
Thank you, Isaiah Smallwood, for that amazing quote.
Google is
is free.
Google is
Google is
free.
so free.
It is.
To
man.
quote the
People
great
gotta do
Isaiah.
their research, bro. Do your research before you go anywhere.
This is from Austin. Austin said, "When I was in youth group, my leader decided to show Young Frankenstein, but he didn't know that there was a sex scene in the movie. So in an effort to rectify the situation, he paused it quickly, and then he hit fast forward. Except what he didn't realize is if you hit pause and then fast forward, it just puts the whole thing in slow motion."
Oh, so not only was it a whole scene, it was a slow mo whole scene.
I can see him fumbling the remote. He's
Yeah,
like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And what's crazy is like in moments like that, like I remember growing up and like watching shows, and you could watch a show all day. Nothing bad comes on. But the moment your parents walk past,
That is
crazy
nothing but
stuff is on the TV. I'm like, oh, and then in that moment you don't even know how to work the remote no more. Now it's like
Wait.
pause right on the scene, and this mad loud.
You make it worse. You turn the volume up.
Volume all the way up, max. Got
You're
a
like,
max volume button out. I didn't even know there was a button on there. That's crazy.
Yo,
Not the
that
slow-mo
actually is
sex
so
scene.
true. Like when I first got into the office, I was probably like 16, maybe 17 or 18, and still living at home. And my dad did not find that show funny at all. He said it was.
Your dad looks like a character in The Office.
Yes. And I remember my brothers and I were watching it in the living room with a couple friends, and he walks in it just like the most out of pocket scene.
Yeah.
And it was so clean for the most part up until that
Yeah.
point, like nothing that we haven't seen before. And he walks in, and I just hear, and him like storm out of the room, and then he comes back. He's just like, your mom and sister live in this house. You go upstairs right now and put headphones on if you're going to watch this junk in my house. And I'm like, it really wasn't that bad. You walked into the last part, or like the worst part. But
Yeah, it'd be like stuff that's not bad, but it decided just to have one bad thing and just happens. Someone's walking past the season. Now you're the weirdo. Now you're a weirdo now that watches weird
I'm
stuff.
standing by my statement. I think Todd Moss would be a great addition to the office. He literally fits the personality.
Who do you think he would be like the most? Like if you had to compare him to somebody.
I think he's like a cross between like Dwight and Jim.
Not Jim.
You don't think Jim?
No.
I don't watch The Office, so I don't know.
So
Stanley?
just
I
called
can see
Dad
that.
Stanley, bro.
He just has a calm demeanor about him, but then he also has that like. I feel like his.
Maybe
I
Oscar.
feel like Jim's voice reminds me most of him. That's
Is it
why I
like the
said
deeper voice?
Yeah.
Braylon said about the movie. They said they're getting students to come to movie night every year now.
They said,
Dang,
listen,
the
we
kids
might
are
get a
lit
show.
now.
They said we might get a show now.
Peyton said, I cry late at night laying in my bed when I realize I'm all caught up in episodes and have to wait a whole week. Man, me too, to be honest. I am so excited for Wednesdays. But look at this. You get a sneak peek into what is coming a few weeks down the road. So thank you, everybody, here on Instagram Live. We will wrap it up here, guys. Buddy, Pastor Cole, thank you for joining me on this episode. If you're listening to this and you have stories, ygchronicles@gmail.com is where you can submit them. We would love to possibly feature you on the show and give you a shout out. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, Youth Group Chronicles. We're on Instagram. We're live right now, so this is a cool opportunity to get a sneak peek at the show. YG Chronicles there, and then same with TikTok. So thanks for listening to the show, everybody, and we will see you next week.